Good morning, everybody, and happy Saturday. I can't multitask. We all know that. I'm gonna have to just stop what I'm doing. So I'm doing some prep work. What am I doing? Ooh, we'll find out later. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves, people. So as you can see, we don't have any fun things on the table because we're going to be doing hands-on. I even have my little miniature shovel. I'll put that in my garden. Um, so yes, happy Saturday, everybody. Last Saturday of May. Um, May simultaneously flew by and also never ended. I don't really know. I think it's because the long weekend happened in the middle of May.
Yeah.
And I think it like totally threw off my. Because normally we're used to long weekend, another weekend, May is done.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was like long weekend, another kind of long weekend, have another weekend in May. You're like,
Yes.
okay, I guess, hello. So May has seemed like a bit of a trip, but here we are. I hope everybody's planting is done. I finally got, I'd say, I'd say 80% of all of mine done. A lot of the big stuff. Jenny and I have got some smaller stuff to do. A couple of things that we just missed, we didn't get around to, and we're going to do those together. But I was thinking, and this I think is essential. Um, the best part about being in my garden is that I'm not in traffic.
Oh my god.
That's my thought for this.
Hey, it's valid
I,
though, right?
last night I was in the garden and I was in there for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm pulling out bags of soil and I'm moving stuff and I'm putting out tomato cages and I'm doing some mulching and I'm separating stuff and I'm all over the place. Boom, 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 boom. Not once did I feel stressed or anxious.
Yeah.
Not once. I had at one point I literally couldn't move. I was standing there. I had pots around me. I had my big bin where I'd mixed my batch of soil, and I was like, "Oh, I've trapped myself. I'm trapped." And I laughed because I'm a dunderhead. And then I moved a couple of things, and I got out, and then I was like, "Ha ha."
Hmm.
I didn't feel like, "Oh my god!" Like if I trapped myself in my office, I'd probably be mad or all of those feelings, and none of them were there because I was just putzing around. I was just gardening, and I was having fun.
Yeah. That's how
So
it should be.
yeah. So yeah, I was really really happy to get my gardening done yesterday. So I hope everybody's up to date. And it's funny though because so we're talking about space savers, and I've noticed a couple of things that I think gardeners by our very nature we're gonna save space. We're gonna put stuff wherever the heck we can or will or whatever. Sometimes by design, sometimes by accident. We move something, or I've done this before. I don't know if anybody's done this. I'm working, I'm getting some stuff, and I take a pot and I go, you know what? You're going there for right now, and then I come back and I go, it looks good there,
Yeah.
and that's now its new home.
Hmm.
So I think by like the way our brains are by design and whatnot, we tend to look at maximizing space. I think a lot of people they don't have that gift, and I get it. It's whatever you're trained for, you're going to be better at doing. So last night when I was gardening and I was moving some pots around and I was looking at things and I was like maximizing my space in certain beds to make sure I had enough room and where my pots were going to go and how it was all going to work. It got me thinking about the garden space saving and what we can do in a garden space, but also why we do it. Um, is it purely aesthetic, like I just touched on? Because for me, that's kind of always my goal. I'm not that interested. I'm not gardening to grow all of my food for a year. I'm not homesteading. I'm not doing that. I'm doing it for the fun and the engagement and getting my hands dirty and pulling a fresh tomato and biting into it. That's why I'm doing it. Mine is primarily for my mental health, my focus, the aesthetic value. that's why I'm doing it. I am not doing it because I think I can get 20 more heads of lettuce if I go to this method. Excuse me. But with that being said, there are people who are doing it for that reason. And again, there's no right or wrong reason for why we do what we do. The reason I'm saying that is because limited space is, I don't care what my limited space is. If I'm not happy with the aesthetic, I'm not going to do it. Now, if I was growing for function more than form, don't care how it looks, I need 30 heads of lettuce. If I do this, this is how I can get them. That's what I'm going to do. So we do space savers for the limited space. We do them also, we can get a better yield. And all I mean by that is when we're probably not going to get a better yield per plant. But if we maximize the space we're putting the plants in, we can jam more plants, ergo a greater yield. So you take one tomato, I take a tomato. You put yours into your small space and craft it. I put mine into a huge pot in the middle of the sun, blah, blah, blah. I might be able to get more tomatoes off my tomato plant than you did off yours. But if I'm only utilizing one tomato, one pot, you've got maybe 2 tomatoes and cucumbers and some marigolds growing in yours, you're going to get a better yield. Okay, per pot, your yield will be higher. I might get a better yield per plant. So that's, I don't want people to read that and think, well, I crammed everything into this small space and I would have got it. That's not what I mean by yield. It's overall yield. Space efficiency. That I do like. That does appeal to me aesthetically. When I look at something and I go, so we have an area, and it's kind of a cutaway. It's a nothing area, and on our back deck, say this is our back deck, and then it narrows, and then the stairs come down. The stairs aren't the full length of the deck, so there's 2 cutaways. Now this cutaway doesn't really do anything. Kind of just a holding area. I always put stuff there, barbecue, blah blah blah. But this one here on this side, it's just a cutaway. There's nothing for it. So what I end up doing is I put a tomato in a pot there. It's lifted up, the sun hits it, it gets big, and now it's filling out that corner, so kind of a dead corner, but now I've turned it into a plant. I've utilized that space that it's not taking up on my deck. So again, that's efficiently using kind of dead space by putting a pot there. Resource management. Again, if you have a small space and I should have grabbed this. Maybe Brandy can post the link when you're doing it in the blog. But that whole process of square foot, square meter gardening, and we have a book on it from Lone Pine, and then I believe she was on the Dragon's Den with her idea. It was pretty cool too. We carry them. That's how much we like them. And it's a plastic 1 foot by 1 foot square, and you put it on the garden. And it's color coded, and it says, if you are covering this much, you can fit 1 tomato right in the middle, or you can fit 16 radishes and you put them in the blue holes, or you can fit 2 cucumbers and you put it. It's incredible. And then you lift it up and you go to the next square foot and you can plant your seeds. It comes with a dibber and everything else. That is unbelievable resource management. The space you're taking, you're making sure everything is getting a healthy soil. You're not taking one of those huge flower beds and you're throwing all of your soil and you're doing it and you're mixing it, you're turning it, and then you plant. If you look at some of those vegetable plots, and this isn't any hyperbole, maybe a third, maybe a half of them are planted, the other half and third are open soil. Now, it's not the back half, it's all of the space between all of these veggies. It hasn't been utilized. So all of that compost and manure and coir and canames and everything else that you put into the soil it's doing nothing. It's literally doing nothing. So your resource management will be better. You will get better bang for your buck doing that.
Have you actually tried it?
The square.
I'm scared to.
Yes, but also no. I haven't tried their method, but I have absolutely done it because I just jammed things in to see what works. That was my
Unintentional.
yeah. And well, I was like, can I do this? And I've done it. And okay, so if you read a pack of daffodils,
Yeah.
okay, it says when you plant them, they should be 5 to 7 inches apart. My daffodils are touching. And then you get that clump of beautiful daffodils. That's how Mum liked them. That's how I do them. You do them 5-7, you're going to get beautiful daffodils, but they're going to be this far apart.
Yeah.
So I push stuff together, I cheat, I try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't break my heart, I learn for next time. I'll tell you where that square foot planter comes in, though. Where it really pays its due is any raised planter or a veggie pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because a veggie pod is, I think it's a square meter. So you basically fits perfectly, three of them, and you, yeah, we already measured it and had some fun with it. So
Cool.
absolutely. And it comes with a dibber. I should mention that as well. But you don't have to use the dibber. You can mark, move it, and then plant your plant if you've bought a pre-grown plant. If it's too late for seeds. Easier maintenance. I've got a smaller area. I don't have to like. I took a screenshot of the last day I did my garden. I don't have an acreage, but I covered over 2 kilometers in my garden. Yeah, you've seen my house. It's not that big, but it was front to back, cutting the grass, doing the trimming, going here, doing some weeding, going to the garage.
Yeah.
So you cover a lot of distance. I condense all of that to my deck. So if I took the area, my deck, that Jenny and I sit on, if I said, Jenny, we're not sitting there anymore, get out of here, and I turned that into a garden, I could probably grow everything I grow in that area. My maintenance is going to drop like that because now I don't have to walk. I can keep all of my tools. If I do that maintenance on that bed 4 or 5 times, I'm going to know every single tool I need to do. Oh, I need my 3-tine cultivator. I need my diamond hoe. I'm going to need my handheld trowel. I'm going to need my weeding spike. And then I can keep them all handy. So when I go out, I pick them up and I'm straight into action. As opposed to wander around and be like, I guess I'll do that. And I go and grab this tool and
Or if you have ADHD.
you forget why you're in the garage. And then I come in and you're like organizing the screws. Like, okay, I just needed a hose. You're like, uh-huh. But look, you had a 6-inch screw with a 9-inch screw.
You know, we should do a webinar on ADHD and gardening. Like honestly, sometimes I know Brad struggles with it a lot. He'll have all these unfinished tasks everywhere, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I actually think gardening appeals to people with ADHD, and I've absolutely seen it with some people. I don't know if they have ADHD, but it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like, because that's the thing when it comes to, and again, it's what I do. I'm not that, I mean, I try to be efficient, and I know my brain is a little weird, but I can have like 8 tasks on the go in the garden at the same time, and by the time I'm done, they'll all be finished. I've already got it worked out, like where I need, like, as I'm watering, like filling up my watering can, as I'm taking this planter. By the time I come back, my watering can is filled. Now I've got that, and it just comes like clockwork.
Yeah.
As opposed to other people that'll do that, they'll come back, the watering can is overflowing, they put the pot in the wrong spot, and then they came back to go play fetch with Jimmy. Am I hitting you in the feels there? Do you feel seen?
I feel seen.
But yeah, like that ruthless efficiency for easier maintenance. You know, when I go out, before I go into my garden, first thing I do is I get my pruners and I put them straight onto my belt. I normally have a trowel or a weeding spike in my back pocket because those are tools I am always going to need. They rarely, if ever, am I like, oh, well, I shouldn't have brought them. So, easier maintenance. Everybody's looking to make life easier. Pest and disease control. We've talked about it at length. If you have a garden, you're going to have pests. You're going to have disease. That's pretty much going to happen. Much easier to control. Everything's in the same spot. You're not like, oh my God, I didn't see the aphids over there, and now they're back over here. And you've got one area, you've got one spot, it's vertical, it's whatever. You go, hey, no problem, I'm on it. And then finish with this. I started with this, I know, but I just love it. The aesthetic. I love strawberry pots. I don't have one. I got to get another one. Mine broke. But strawberry pots, they're those terracotta, or those plastic ones. And they've got the little pockets that come out, and you put the strawberries technically, but people put all the herbs in them. And in one pot, you can have like 9 different herbs going down. Things like that. They are amazing. You can build your own stuff. All the different pots that you can do. Fill up your stairs. Basically, aesthetic is 100% personal. Okay, so you may look and be like, I don't like that. I want to see everything in a perfect straight row, and I want it alphabetical. I want to go arugula, broccoli, cauliflower. That's how it has to be. Or you can go, well, you know what? I can't do that because I need to put the arugula at the front because it's going to grow lower, and my broccoli that I bought is a monster. That needs to go at the back. You can do it that way. Whatever the aesthetic is to you is the win. But if you're going small space, you probably are going to have to kind of settle for more of a cluttered look, organized clutter. So now let's talk about some troubleshooting, because like anything, this does not come without some problems. We literally just mentioned bugs and disease, and the flip side of it being easier to take care of is there is also a much greater risk that you're going to get more bugs and disease. Just like people, if I have a bug and I'm walking up to people and I'm like close talking and I'm hugging them and touching them, they're probably going to get sick. If I keep my 6 feet away, there's a throwback. But if I keep 6 feet away, they're probably not going to get a sick.
I just got that.
Yeah, throwing it back to 2020. But it's the same thing. So we're not. If my plants are touching and this plant gets an aphid, this plant has an aphid. This plant gets powdery mildew, this plant has powdery mildew. So you really, really want to keep an eye for that. And maybe that means you don't get to plant everything you want. Maybe you're like, well, all right, well, I'm not doing zucchini. One, it's not a space-saving plant. It's a monster. And two, it is highly susceptible to powdery mildew. So maybe you don't go with that. Maybe change it. Or if you do go with it, you're like, I am going to be on it. I am going to start using a broad spectrum fungicide before there is need for it, because I know like the spores are there before I see the damage. Maybe that's the approach. But whatever it is, you are probably going to get more bugs and disease. You have limited airflow. You have tighter concentration of plants. It can be harder for them to dry out because, again, not as much sun is reaching. Wide open, wind and sun are just ripping through it. Everything crammed together, not as much. Okay, you limit the wind. You ever been cold in a group of people and you all huddle together like bison did on the prairies? And for the bison on the prairies, they used to all huddle together, and then I don't know how they knew it. I guess just however it was hot. And they'd always be moving, and what would happen, I can't remember the time. I guess it depended on the amount. But after a certain while, the ones in the middle were on the outside. And then the ones on the outside were into the middle, and they would kind of just keep swirling as they were moving. So you always got heated up, and then when you were hot, you moved out, with the young and the older ones basically being confined to the middle because they didn't have the same temperature regulation.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, that's nature, right? It's awesome. We talked about resource management, and all of these points, they all literally nearly every single one of them has a flip side on the bad. The resource management also means you're going to have to keep up on the resources because there's tougher competition. There's more competition for the same finite resources. So I amend a soil area and I put in all of my good stuff and I plant my tomato. My tomato's like, this is all for me. All for me. I'm selfish. I'm a selfish tomato. And it's sucking everything up. But now I plant 2 tomatoes and a couple of cucumbers in the same pot. They're like, hey, whoa, that's mine. And they go, no, it's mine. And then they all fight. So I need to make sure that I'm top dressing with maybe worm castings. I'm not missing don't skip fertilizer day. It's like leg day at the gym. Okay, don't skip fertilizer day. Get those plants, get them jacked. But they're fighting for the same resources, so you have to keep an eye for that because your soil is absolutely going to deplete more. At the end of a season, in a small if you have a raised plant, a veggie pod, something like that, a confined area versus a garden, amend them roughly the same, plant roughly the same, and then look at which one's soil is better quality the next year. Guaranteed it's going to be the garden. Because the veggie pod, there is no chance that anything good could get in there. The plants probably grew better in there because it is more controlled, but they pulled everything essential out of that soil. Soil in the garden. I turned my soil in a couple of my beds this year, and I mean, I added stuff because I do every year, but I was like, damn, this is good looking soil. Like, it was so loose, it held enough. I watered, the water didn't even run off. I had some plants cooking, so I was using the root around, of course, but I was like, I need to get these plants hosed down, rinsed, and flooded. I need to flood the area in a hurry, so I just used my hose. That soil was just drinking it up. I was like, excellent, that's a good quality soil. Guarantee at the end of the season it'll be depleted a bit. You have limited choices, and I talked about that. So maybe when you're doing a small space garden, you don't have room for zucchini, you don't have room for corn. Pumpkins might be out. Um, maybe the only tomatoes you can grow are determinate, not indeterminate. Okay, you need something that's going to stay like that. So pumpkins. Okay, like I really want to grow a pumpkin, but they get big. They need a lot of room. Is it worth it? If I've got an area this big, I can grow one pumpkin or three tomatoes. What am I looking to do here? So again, these are your choices. You have to make that decision. But depending on what you're looking for, you're probably gonna have a limited idea on what you can do with crops. And then also aesthetic. And the reason I bring that up as a troubleshooting thing, because again, if you're like me and you're gardening primarily for aesthetic, primarily for the enjoyment, but you really do want to save space, you might have to give that up. You might have to be like, ugh, where can I get my enjoyment? What can I do? You know what? I'll put up some hanging baskets of flowers. That's what I'll enjoy, but I'm going to plant everything in perfectly straight rows, and I'm not going to deviate from that. Everything is going to be square meter planting. Maybe that's not your jam, but maybe that's how you have to do it. So, you know, with everything, there's going to be a swing and a roundabout, okay? So you look and you go, wow, that's amazing. But is it though? Like, if I get bugs, I can take care of them really quick. But you just told me that I'm way more likely to get bugs on all of my plants, okay? However, a lot of times, the reason I bring this up is we're forced to do it. Okay, we have the limited space. That was the first thing I brought up is why do we do this? For the most part, it is because we have a limited amount of space and we want to grow X and we're trying to find that sweet spot. So do not take any of these as being reasons why you can't. Take them as challenges to rise to. Okay, and we're going to talk about some actionable items now because if we just look and we go, I might get bugs. Sure, you might, but you know what? My tomatoes are this far apart right now, and they'll probably both get bugs. Okay, it's already in my head that way. Well, I've already got the live ladybirds coming in. So don't for one second think that any of these are ones that you can't do. So we've talked about this at length. We talked about this from GA Kids TV all the way through because it's something that we believe in. How are we going to make the most out of this? How are we going to save space? Go vertical, okay? Think 3D, think arbors. There's somebody on my drive home, and I'm loving. Do you ever do that, Brandy, when you're driving and you see somebody doing some work, and not like a big project, not where they're building like a whole extension on their house or doing something,
Yeah.
but where it's like a homeowner and their spouse, and they're just doing something in their garden, and you monitor the progress.
Yeah, I love that.
It's
Actually I do that with my neighbors. I saw them this morning.
okay. That's called creeping.
I'm like, look what they're planting. They're planting that thing. I wonder what it's gonna look like next week, like that kind of stuff.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. Exactly where you
Yeah.
go. Oh, what are they? And then you're super excited to see that progress. Well, these people, you know, I've seen them working, but I'm normally, you know, it's on one of the busier roads on my way home.
Yeah.
But they ripped out a whole bunch of stuff. Early spring, I watched them. They cut back the hedge there. So I don't know if they just bought the house or if they maybe the last couple of years wasn't good for them. Whatever the case might be. This year they're going for it, and they've put an arbor in. Okay, and they've planted all around the base of it, but they also have a couple of hanging baskets at either end.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's maybe 8 feet. So it's domed like this, and it looks like it's maybe 8 feet long. There's a couple of hanging baskets, and it's planted down the edge, and that's as much as I've got. But I'm like,
Oh,
oh, is it peas? Is it beans? Is it sweet peas? Is it
Yeah.
gonna cover the whole thing? Like, Because I've seen people do, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep an eye on this. So I'll keep you guys posted.
These are the days of our
Yeah,
lives.
exactly. This is what I do for fun. But the thing is that they were on a flat lawn, and they created a 3D, right? And if they get enough canopy from the peas and the beans, they've got an hour shade area they can plant in.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's so many things we can do to increase that. I said we might have to limit our crops, and we probably will. But look for bush beans, look for compact or dwarf varieties. There are so many out there that will say this compact plant, this dwarf variety. That's what you might want to be looking for.
I didn't know
That's-
you could find a bush pea.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah. You know what? I say yes, but it's not like, yeah, I've known that forever. I only learned that a few years ago. Like maybe I was at Golden Acre.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell
Yeah.
you. Yep. So there are some, I got to say that when it comes to peas and beans, I like the runners.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Like, but again,
We like that, but sometimes we can't have
exactly, that's the difference between aesthetic and limited crop. So we have to look and be like, what do I want? Do I want the aesthetic or do I want the beans? What do I want? If I want the beans because I want to eat them, then lose your aesthetic. But look for those varieties. Look for the compact, the short ones, maybe ones that don't mind being pruned back a little bit harder, ones that you can tip. Succession planting. Always a great idea to save space. Instead of growing 30 heads of lettuce off the get-go, grow lettuce 3 times. And if you've got limited space outside, maybe you've got some space inside you can dedicate to keep those seeds going all year. And then you get that down on a timer and you go, oh, I'm ready to harvest those. These are ready to go out. They come out the ground, the new ones go in the ground. So you can really, really max that 3 times a year. You're not like hoping the weather is playing nice. You're really pushing it. And then there's also interplanting and companion planting. Companion planting we've talked about. We know that works. It's amazing. We're planting to keep bugs away, or we're planting Three Sisters planting. We've talked about that. Plants that leach nitrogen, that help the other plants. Everything grows well together. Plants to attract pollinators in. But then we have interplanting, and that's where you plant similar but different. Okay, so when you think interplanting, say you're doing an area for root vegetables. Okay, when you do it, maybe you're going to do a row of carrot, a row of parsnip. Now they're pretty slow, but they need the same kind of soil, they need the same kind of thing. Well, down the middle of that row, okay, they've got to be, however, and I'm just doing this, it depends on the variety, always follow that. But say they got to be, 9 inches apart. Right down the middle of that, plant a row of radishes. They need the same type of soil structure, they need the same type of light structure, they need the same type of water. They need everything else that's happening because it's a root vegetable. Plant straight down that middle, and the radishes are being harvested. They didn't go deep enough to rob the others of anything that they wanted, so they're sharing the resources, and we look at doing things like that. So look at plants that maybe they harvest at different times, but they have similar requirements, and you can play on what's going to happen with heights, sizes, and harvest times. It can be tricky. Again, off the top of your head, you can be like, oh my God. Like, quick, think of one. You're like, carrots and radishes. But it can be difficult because, again, we haven't really been forced into doing that. But once you start getting it down, you go, oh, I understand how this process works. I absolutely do. Another one for you, because they both like shade, that the speed that they grow differently, that you can utilize it. If you pick the right variety, kale or spinach and broccoli. Okay, row broccoli, row cauliflower, row spinach down the middle. Yep. Spinach roots go very shallow, broccoli takes up more, they play very well together, and they both can take the same light. So there's all different kinds that you can play with there. So have fun with that. Raised beds, we've talked about that. Veggie-Pod, okay, a big shout out to our friends because we do love Veggie-Pod. They put theirs on wheels. Okay, so you can get the medium. The large one is too big to go on wheels. They tried, but the wheels kept snapping because it got so heavy. So, I know, but that's how great they are. Instead of like just selling it and being like, haha, it's your problem now, they were like, no, that's unethical. We're not selling it because we love Veggie-Pod. But up to the medium, it can go on wheels. And I've actually talked to a couple of people, 100% people have told me they bought their Veggie-Pod. It is on wheels. and they absolutely love it because the sun they have a small space.
Yeah. Okay.
So the sun moves and they don't have wide open, so they move their veggie pod with the sun all day.
That's commitment.
And then in the morning they bring it back.
Oh my
And,
god.
now, we have sold hundreds of veggie pods. That's, I think, 2 people, maybe 3, but yeah. I'm like, that's.
I wish I had that much time in a day. That's
I-
amazing. Good
You know
job.
what? It's not the time in the day. For me, that's a project that absolutely I could start that. Absolutely, I could dedicate to it. Absolutely, life would get in the way once or twice. Then my brain would go, "You're messing this up. You're not doing it right," and I'd get angry at myself. So, but what a great way to utilize a small space. A veggie pod is a small space. Put it on wheels, so you're moving the small space with the sunlight. I wonder if you could get a solar-powered remote control car.
Oh, or a lawnmower or like a Roomba?
Taking your veggie pod for a walk. We got your veggie pod. Yeah,
Yeah, why not?
like that's what
Let's normalize that.
like a photosensitive remote controlled Roomba, or
Yeah, yeah.
and then you turn it on and it follows the sunlight. So as the sunlight's going, this thing's ideas. That's all I'm gonna say. One of my favorite things to do is integrate pots and trellises. Put pots on everything. Hang pots on everything. I've got my soil in it now, but take a plastic pot. A lot of people have got those fences and it's just a boring ass fence post on the top, right? Take your pot, put it on the top, take a drill, drill it in, put in soil, put a plant in it. Now you got plants going all the way down your fence. Okay, the pollinators will see them for miles. Okay, and it's never going to fall off. At the end of the season, it'll be a mess, but gardening's a mess. Dig out the soil, take the screw out, and away you go. If you really can't be bothered doing it, it's a plastic pot. Rip it off the screw. Okay, it's not the end of the world. But if you wanted to do it properly, you could very easily dig that soil out, or leave it until the spring and make it part of your spring cleanup. Utilize all the different heights, different sizes. I freaking love all different sizes. Like, I know there's people out there, and I see it on their trolley, and I get it, again, it's aesthetic, and every single pot is the same. Have you ever seen that, where they get the fiberglass, and they get the big one, and the medium one, and they're all the same color, and they've got 8 of these, and 12 of these, or whatever it might, wicked. Not my jam. Not my, that is too far. I'm picturing, I'm like, oh, I bet you they're spaced every 10 feet around the patio, and the big ones are here, and the small one. I've done jobs like that. Wonderful. I've got pots. Harry, when he was a kid, would help me. We would plant anything. Harry was the one who taught me. You know those clamshells that the spinach and the strawberries and everything come in now from the grocery store? Harry was the one who taught me to turn that into a mini greenhouse.
See, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's got mini drainage. It seals and keeps everything out. It keeps everything hot, and it builds up the steam because it. And he was like, "Look, we could plant in this," and I was like, "Planting it." So plant, use it, use the fun things, use the different colored things. I saw a job, and then we're gonna get on this thing, the elephant in the room. I did a job one time for a customer, and it was amazing. And she wanted an ivy pyramid, and we took a big pot, filled it with soil. We took another pot, we put it smaller into that, so basically like that, and then another one on top. Then we planted all different ivies, variegated and solid and everything, all the way down. At the end, that thing was just, you couldn't see any pots.
That's cool.
I took it I took it home. These are the reasons why when people ask me about putting my plants outside, at the end of the year, she was like, "Oh my God, that was amazing. It was perfect." We're like, "Do you want it?" She was like, "Nope." And she was like, "You want it? Take it." And I was like, "Are you sure, Sandy? Like, I can return the pots." She's like, "I don't care. Take it." So I was like, "Yeah, it's going to look all..." Took it into my house. The thing was riddled in spider mites. Yeah. I was a bit of a... So anyway, after battling spider mites for a very long time, no, actually I just threw that away, but the spider mites were already into my house. So it happens. C'est la vie, but that's why I don't put plants outside. But stack pots, utilize them, put them together, cluster them, clump them, anything and everything you can. little tip, I always find if you're doing clusters of pots, odd numbers always look better. Okay? Once you start getting into 4s and 6s, we end up being too linear. Again, aesthetic. I like to do my clumps 3, 5, 7s, solos, whatever. But to each their own. Okay, so we mentioned this. Now we're going to try and build one. I've never built one quite like this before. And Brandy was the one who put us up to this. And we're going to build a herb spiral.
Challenge.
Yeah, so I've got my rock. I've got my stone here. Okay. And can the camera see what we're doing here?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys can see I did the base layer. That's what I was working on when we got started, when it kicked off. That's what I was doing. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to plant some herbs in. No. You're like, I don't know what else to do. So what you do, you plan out, okay? So what they always advise is that you face it to the north. So you want this point facing south, this side being north. So this is like your shady, because I mean some of them, I was looking at some videos because I did a bit of a deep dive into this. There are some pretty big herb spirals out there.
They're amazing.
Like and all the different materials that people use.
Yeah.
It is wild. Like I've seen one person was using slate, one person was using riverstone, one person was using house brick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Anything and everything goes. I actually saw one. I didn't watch the video of them building it because I was watching one guy. He like nerded the hell out. Like he had huge construction cardboard and he was cutting it with like he had a string and a knife and he was cutting perfect spirals and he was laying it out on the ground and I was like,
dude.
Yeah, damn dude, I just throw rocks on the ground and pack soil in.
Yeah, we don't have to go that low if you want to go that extreme.
No, I don't have the cardboard.
I don't have the strength.
Yeah, so the idea behind a herb spiral, and really they call it a herb spiral, you can plant whatever the heck you want in it. Wouldn't recommend, again, perennials. The ground freezes around it, the whole thing's going to turn into a big solid lump of ice. You want to try a perennial? I mean, right in the middle, it might be okay, but that's a you thing. But the idea behind a herb spiral is it's somewhere in your garden that you can start building up for height, and you can fit more on a spiral. So you do a circle on the ground, you can do a few, but if that builds up, well, I can build up on all of the levels. So I'm going to try and go quick here, and I'm not very good at multitasking, so bear with me. And, oh, thank you, Brandy. Am I making a mess already? I'm making a huge mess in the podcast studio, but anybody who knows me knows that that's what we do. That's why we were given our own space. This is a safe space for messes.
This is like Art Attack. Did you
Art.
ever see that show?
No?
Yeah, that was a 90s show.
Okay.
From England.
Oh, no way. Okay, no, I definitely, well, I mean, I was in Canada then, and during the 90s, I was too busy gardening and doing good stuff, Brandy. That's what I was doing in the 90s. Okay, see, so I moved that rock out because I found a bigger one and a better one. So literally all I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to fit some stones together to build a wall. I am very clearly a gardener and not a mason. That's okay though, we're learning. We're learning. This is team building.
It looks cool.
So what I'm doing is I'm gonna get here, I wanna get just one layer done right now. Like this, come on. You know, it's a lot easier when you've got like a big area of land and you can rake the soil out and you can throw the stones in, but
Honestly.
we work with what we have.
What's that profession where you are like literally like you're stacking
Masonry.
rocks? Is that masonry?
Yep. Okay. So, you can see here, and I hope I don't mess this up, I even have my handy dandy mini trowel, mini shovel. So now, what I'm going to do, not going to start here, but I'm going to start at the second row. Okay. I'm going to add more soil. I'm going to come around. I'm going to add my soil. Just like that. Okay. And then I firm it in. So, are we still good on the visuals?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring y'all in.
Okay. Hey,
Just no, Colin. We won't be
Hi.
able to.
you won't be able to see me?
Yeah.
Aw.
We're just gonna look at the bowl because it's actually pretty cool.
Okay. So, you can see what we did there is we came up. Now, these ones are still loose, but the next layer of soil will hold these. And then the idea is, as the roots grow, the roots are also going to hold it in. So the whole thing is going to be done. So now I pick the next area I want to build up. So I started my one row, my second row started here. So I'm going to start my third row
My goodness.
here. And again, build these outside, build them with anything, let the kids get involved. Fun family activity to do this. Now, if you're building a huge one and you're using big, heavy stones, maybe keep an eye on the kiddos. But if you're just building, like, again, some people do small ones, they do just a couple of layers. Obviously, always hit up YouTube for some inspiration. While you're there, follow us, The Helpful Gardeners. Haha, woot!
Nice plug.
Yeah, total shout out. And all you can see, I don't know exactly what you guys are watching, but I'm just building up now. You can see the soil level is pretty level here. Okay, so now I'm building this up more so I can put more soil in. Okay, so I'm just picking rocks that I think will fit together. If I had more time, okay, if we had more time together, but if I was doing this on my own, and taking my time doing it, what I probably would have done is I probably would have dumped out all of my stone and I would have separated it into like large, medium, and small. The small I would use to interlock at the end. The large I would use as my base layers. And then the medium I would use to prop up as I went around. I don't have that time. See, like now I find this one. I don't really have room for him, so he's going to go there. And all I'm doing here is I just want to make sure that my height is somewhat even. Looking pretty good. I'm going to put him to there. Then I'm going to take, you know what? I'm always worried when I'm doing this. I'm going to add that one more stone and the whole thing's going to come out. And that will happen. So let me dispel that notion for you right there. I'm pretty lucky. I have built things like this before. Never in a pot. This is Brandy challenge. Thank you, Brandy. A lot of times when you're doing it, okay, you'll have your loose wall like this. I've built a lot of walls. I've built a lot of rock gardens. You'll have your wall like this. You'll take your shovel. You'll put it in. You'll kick it. You'll hit a rock. The whole side will go down. Laugh it off. Build it again. Okay, there is no, I can't fix that. I mean, you want to start concreting them together, absolutely. But the whole idea is for them to somewhat be freestanding. So now, I'm trying to do this so I'm not blocking the camera. All I'm doing is I'm just adding a bit more soil. I'm just going to firm it in. And again, once this soil gets down through all of the crevices and cracks and gets watered, and we have the root system at play, I feel like I'm eating really terrible cereal. I used to eat salt when I was a kid. I used to eat bugs.
That explains a lot.
I think so.
It looks so good.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. It's why I love you, Brandy, because you challenge me. You're always like, hey, you know what you should do on that show? You should build a herb spiral in a pot. And I go,
But I love it because the soil holds the rock in. So
Yeah.
like it's beautiful, stable.
And full disclaimer, everybody. So this is not necessarily something I would plant in here. If you followed along, you know for a fact we do not like using topsoil. I don't even know if that can be seen.
No.
But I used topsoil purely for the weight and the moisture retention. If I was trying to do this in a pot with a peat-based potting soil, I might have said some colorful words on air. Might have said things like, oh gosh, and such. Oh shoot, fiddlesticks. I'm bringing fiddlesticks back. Oh, see, I told you. Not a problem. We just push it back in. See, and all I did there is I added some soil here and I firmed it down and I caused a little bit of an earth shake. But that's okay. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to get my foundation so that doesn't happen again. And hold it all together. And hey presto.
Ta-da!
So if I had a bigger area and I had more room, I would have just kept going. And now we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 herbs in that. As opposed to if I just went around the bottom, I wouldn't have got the middle one, I wouldn't have got that one, and I wouldn't have got that one. So this is literally 2 levels. If you go to 3 levels, 4 levels, 5 levels, the space you save as you build up becomes a whole heck of a lot bigger. There you go, bud.
Wow. There you go.
There we go. And that's it. So have fun. Have fun. You know, I really feel like I preach to the choir because I find that people, when they tune in here, from the interaction we get, and when I get to meet some of you all in person and talk to people and we see things after, is it seems like there's 2 groups of people. There's the gardeners who are looking for other tips, or they're just having fun, and we love you guys, but there's also the people that have no idea, and they're learning as they go. And we love you guys too. And the best part is, there's something for everybody, because you know, if I come on here and I talk about perennials or trees, even better. I talk about trees. If you know nothing about trees, you're going to learn something. But if you know enough about trees, you're like, well, what are you going to teach me? Well, it's made of wood. It has roots and a stem and leaves. They sometimes have fruit. Great. If you're brand new to gardening, you're like, oh, great, I need to know what a tree is. I don't know the difference between a tree and a shrub. Okay, great, we can teach you that. But there's no real, there's nothing from you. I am telling you what it is. That is just a fact. There's nothing we can do about it. But episodes like this, and that's valuable information, don't get me wrong, we all need to know that. But episodes like this, they're definitely my favorite, and I think that Brandy's too, because we get to be creative.
Yeah.
We get to, like, there is no right or wrong. Like, you're like, I don't know if you could do this. I just thought of it thinking about how we display them downstairs. Maybe you hook a basket, a hanging basket on a hook, and then you hook 2 hanging baskets off that hanging basket. Okay? I feel like they would slide around, but I feel like a couple of zap straps or whatever. Probably somebody's done it.
There was
So-
a petunia tree like a few years ago.
Yeah. The guy, Jim, welded that. So there is a ton of things you can do to beat.
Just leave it.
Oh, great.
I can only hear that. Sorry.
Bit of ASMR.
Sorry. We'll clean up later.
I was trying to be efficient. But yeah, these episodes and this is what gardening is about, is being creative and learning. And spoiler alert, making mistakes as you go. It's about, you know, knocking over walls. It's about realizing that, oh man, I put those way too close together. Oh, the one that really hurts. At the end of the year when you look and you go, I could have got a few more in there. Mm-hmm. And you go, ugh, look at that. You know, you're really trying to focus on that space saving and you've got some empty spots. But that's how we learn. You go again the next year. So have some fun. Loads of planting time left. Like I said, we did about 80%. So Jenny and I are doing, maybe we're going to come visit the acre tomorrow, get some stuff. But have a good afternoon, everybody. I'm looking forward to my afternoon because I get to hang out with Brandy all afternoon. You'll watch what you're doing, and we will, I believe, see you next week. So take care, everybody. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your weather. If you're outside, hydrate, hat, sun, SPF. You know what to do. I'm not going to lecture you. I don't want to give anybody a wag of my finger. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.